I don't know how this slipped my mind.
Okay, I'm rolling.
All right, great.
Yeah, just look at Yaakov.
Okay.
First thing, please just say your names the way you like them pronounced. And,
Leonard McReynolds.
okay,
Jennifer McReynolds.
great. And we're just going to be talking about marriage. So be loose, be happy, be funny, make each other laugh if you feel like it. And let's just start from the beginning. How did you meet?
I was working at a business club in the city, and his company was sponsoring an event there. It happened to be Valentine's Day. I was working because I didn't have someone I was seeing, and he kept checking me out, and I thought he was there with somebody else, and I was kind of getting a little upset because it was Valentine's evening. And so I was thinking, man, the woman he's there with is like all alone, and she's having this nice dinner without him. And he was on the phone and just kept making eye contact with me. And so that's kind of how we met.
Yeah, I mean, I concur to that story. The difference is I knew she didn't have a date. I was there actually working. I had a crew that was working on the event. I was really there to kind of smooth with the other people there. So I didn't have a date. She didn't have a date. So that's like a good opportunity for me to move in on her. So, you know.
He called me before the end of the night. Like before I got home, he called me, and I thought that was kind of stalkerish.
Yeah, that's very smart from his perspective.
That's
you know.
correct.
Yeah.
Find out who's working on Valentine's Day.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Bet.
That's right. That's exactly
And
right.
that was like 16 years ago.
16 years.
Almost 16 years ago on Valentine's
Yeah.
Day.
So how long have you been married?
Almost 14 years.
Yeah. Next month makes 14 years.
Wow. Okay. So we'll call it 13 just to be factual.
That's right. Just to be factual. That's right.
Okay. And so 13 years in.
Mm-hmm.
You have kids?
Yes.
Yes.
How many?
2.
2 kids.
2 wonderful kids.
2 wonderful kids.
Yes.
Good.
We have a 20-year-old and we have a 12-year-old. Our daughter is a sophomore in college, and the teenage years were very interesting and fun and all that stuff that comes with teenagers.
Our son is 12, going on 17. He's about 5'8", so he looks like he's 17, but he's 12 years old. Great kid, really. He's a great kid. Great attitude most days, and so.
So with both of you working, you know, and I don't know what kind of hours financial consultants keep. Do you find yourself out of the house when you prefer to be home?
Well, the good news is that I'm very flexible during the daytime hours because, of course, in my line of work as a financial advisor, I really meet with people after they get off of work, right? Or on weekends. So I'm always able to be there during the day. Any school programs, you know, kid gets sick in the middle of the day, any of the times where, you know, there's a day out of school, maybe because of holiday, I'm always able to be, you know, with the kids, or in this case, you know, with our son, who's not the only kid in the house. And so in the evenings,
I have kid duty in the evenings, and so he, you know, typically he works about 14 hours a day, 14, 15 hours a day. I probably work 10 to 12. Some of that is at home because, you know, I'm the mom taxi, you know, I have to do all the events, and our son is in band, and so he plays sports, and so we're running all the time. And so we have very little time to actually get together and make things work, you know.
So how do you, I mean, I'm in the same boat. I work very early hours. My wife, I go to bed 7 p.m., you know, so
Wow.
my wife doesn't see me at
Right.
night. You know, we pretty much put the kids to bed, at least we try, and then I'm done too.
Yeah.
well, I think one of the things is this. I mean, my day is a 14-hour day, but, you know, just to be factual, as you call it here, I'm not working all that time. I mean, I'm out of the house, but we do things like I go by and we have lunch, because for me, my schedule during the day is totally flexible. So I go by and I'll say, hey, want to have lunch today? And I always try to do it spontaneously, you know, not you know, like on a calendar, right? And I'll go take her to a spot for lunch, or maybe I'll run some errands that, you know, so it lightens her load, so when she gets, you know, off of work, she doesn't have to do. So I think that one of the things we do is we use our schedules to our advantage. Likewise, in the evenings, she's very helpful at things maybe that I really need to do in the evening, get a hold of someone, do something like this. She's at home. I'm usually with clients and I can't do it. And she comes in and blocks and tackles for me. So we don't allow the demands, in my opinion, we don't allow the demands to be an excuse for us not working together as a partnership, which if we didn't work together, I think that would cause a lot of tension. I don't think it's easy, but I think that we have a partnership, and I know she's looking out for me. She knows I'm looking out for her. Like I get a lot of cool points if the kids are sick or our son leaves something at home or something like that, and I go by the house and I grab it and I take it down in the middle of the day. Well, I get a lot of cool points for that because she would want to make sure our kids are taken care of. She's at work and can't do it, so I fill in, and vice versa in the evenings. She does the same thing for me. So I think that the first thing I would say is that we use the times we have to work together, to be partners for one another, to get the things done that were both important to us.
I think we often joke that we don't know how to operate without having just a million things on our plates. Like if we were just the typical 9 to 5 people, we probably would not be together. We don't know how to make things work. Otherwise, it's always hectic. I'm also very involved in our business. And so that takes me, Tuesdays and Friday nights, I am in the office with them. And so our kids have sort of grown up in our business also, non-traditional hours. We just sort of make it work. We fit in our date times, our spiritual well-being is very important to us too. So we just figure out times to work and then actually make it work,
So how long did it take to get into this group? Because it couldn't have been immediate that you figured out each other's.
Absolutely not. I would probably say, not to be cliche, but I would probably say we were cooking with gas maybe after 5 years. The whole idea that it takes 5 years to get regimented, into a system. And so there were a lot of ups and downs in that first 5-year period of time because also our careers, we were growing our careers, we weren't doing the same things we were doing. So those changes and having kids and that sort of thing. So I would say that it took us a good 5 years to perfect it. I would say that probably the first 2 years we set the groundwork. There were decisions we made. I think we made.
The first 2 years we were getting to know each other.
Okay, see that?
Trying to iron things out,
Yeah, but eventually what ended up happening is because of the mistakes, because of the tension, because of some of the arguments or discussions with purpose, I guess I would call them, because of some of those, there were some ground rules that we established to help with that process. Like for instance, I'm not allowed to come in the house from work on the telephone, right? That's one of the things early on because in my line of work, I've got several agents that work for me in my agency in addition to clients. So for me to be on the phone, walking in the door is normal for me. But my wife wanted the time, when I came in, so that was a rule we set, early on.
Oftentimes he comes in late, so it's also don't disrupt the household, If our son is sleeping, you can't come in talking on the phone. And if I'm sleeping, don't wake me up. And he adheres to that most times. It's not perfect still.
So is this still an ongoing thing, just, working all the time and encroaches in the home life? Does it work both ways as well?
It's really interesting because, again, we're outside of the house for 12 to 14 hours a day. But really, when you have kids and family, it's not all working. I just have to be honest about that.
Well, kids and families work too.
Well, okay. So it's not all career work. Right? Yeah. Maybe the fact of the matter is that, having a family and managing the institution of a family and the institution of a marriage, that's work. So if you want to define it that way, but oftentimes it might be that we're at a school program or, my son plays in the band, or when he was younger, it was soccer, there's grocery shopping, there's laundry, there's bills to pay. So I don't think either one of us have the type of careers. We have very flexible hours, although we are accountable to get things done. But I can't really say that, I grew up in Detroit, which is a blue collar town, right? So those were factory workers. Once you went into work, you were there in the factory, you couldn't leave. as where you know, we leave our offices. We both have the type of careers where we were in and out of our offices all day. So I guess that the magic question is, how have we made it work? Because it's our lifestyle now. It doesn't have the same tension and the same sense of interruption into our romance. And I think a couple things were our premarital counseling, which is, you know, kind of crazy to think about, but we read a book called The 5 Love Languages, and it talked about learn your partner's love language. Learn the things that your partner really, how they feel loved. And my wife is a quality time person, meaning that if I don't spend quality time with her, it doesn't matter what I buy her, diamonds and trips or whatever, it doesn't matter. She wants quality time. And then for me, I'm an acts of service person. I want her to do things for me. Like, that's how she could tell me that, you know, show me that she loves me, if she does something for me. You know, it could be simple as leaving my dinner in the microwave. And so I think that it started for us with understanding how to love one another. And really, that's probably the biggest single thing. And I've been thinking as I was driving in here today, how have we made it work when many people, you know, in today's society aren't able to make it work? It started with foundation. I think we are really understanding what it takes to make each other feel loved, and then also being committed. Look, we got married. We're committed. You know,
early on, we decided that. Well, he kind of decided, and I sort of fought it in the beginning, but he said, look, divorce is not an option for us. And so homicide might be an option, but divorce is not an option. And so we just decided early on that we had to make things work. And so that's kind of, you know, it hasn't always been perfect. It hasn't always been pretty. But we both decided that we were going to work at it. And it's work. You know, the first 2 years of dating is like the ideal, oh my God, this is great. Everything smells great. You're wonderful. You're perfect. And then it gets real. And so then you really have to decide, okay, you got to pick up your clothes, you know, all the stuff that comes with it, and all the nuances, all the things that, you know, annoy each other. The annoyance, you know, like he smacks every time he eats. And so there's things, you know, that you have to deal with. It's the little things, but I mean, outside of that, you know, we work at it. I mean, it's always like we have to find time. We, you know, try to remember, you know, like why we fell in love. And that's important because when you have two really demanding careers and you have a business that you're focusing on and you have kids that have activities, it's really easy to forget the person that you married and why you married them. That it's just really easy. And so you can very easily decide, or it just happens that you don't have anything in common anymore, you know, because you have developed other things. And so we've just decided, hey, we have to be involved in each other's lives. We talk all the time. You know, I am the quality time person, and so he knows when I haven't had any time with him, I sort of get a little bit out of whack. You know, I tend to be a little spicy. You know, I don't know if you can tell, but so
And I would also say that I think it also boils down to this whole, you know, it's so hard to say, you know, how do you make this work, because it's the little things. I think oftentimes, you know, in society in general, we're looking for that one big thing. And I counsel people in my industry and in my business, how, you know, why are you so successful? How are you able to do it? And they want like the one, you know, pill. You know, let me take the blue pill, you know, and then everything's going to be perfect. And you know, it's really not. It's the little stuff. I still open doors for her. I still would want to allow her to carry things. She can't carry a box. She can't carry groceries in. She couldn't even carry her own umbrella this morning, right? I mean, but it's those little bitty things that you do each and every day, you know, I think that help to strengthen a relationship. It's not necessarily the big oh wow things. I mean, I've had a couple of oh wow things, some surprises, you know, where, you know, we did lavish things. I think one other thing I will say that I think is really important, my dad really, you know, always talks to me about this, taking time to smell the roses. We do have very demanding career lives, but we do a good bit of breakaway. We do a good bit of whether it's just, hey, you know, we've been really running at this thing hard. Let's head up to the North Georgia mountains, rent a you know, luxury cabin and, you know, get in a hot tub and hang out and get near our kids and, you know, be able to hang out with them too, and then be able to also go take a walk. You know, we can talk and we can do that kind of thing. Or whether it's, you know, going down to Destin, which is one of our favorite getaways. You know, we go a couple times a year in the summer to go away for a week, you know, or a long, you know, 5-day weekend. So the other side of it is that fortunately, we've been fortunate enough that our careers actually provide the economic means for us to be able to get away. You know, God forbid if we were just, you know, busy and engaged in this career and this family, but didn't have the financial means to be able to actually, you know, get away and to do some of those things that, you know, kind of let the air out of the tires. I think the other thing that might be one of the big things, if you will, you know, look, we have goals for our family and our personal life, in our spiritual life and our career life, and we've been sitting down, you know, for, you know, most of our marriage, we've been sitting down at least once a year at the beginning of the year, and we go through what the goals are for our lives, you know, our personal lives, our career lives, our spiritual lives, you know, our financial lives. You know, a lot of couples struggle, you know, they argue over money and differences about money, and you know, my wife introduced me, I guess I should say, to Christian private schools early on. It was very expensive. And my value system, I was a public school guy, and all this money was going out to these very expensive, you know, elite Atlanta private schools, and, you know, that takes some, you know, you have to have the sessions we had on our goals and why this was important. It was important for us to sit down on a regular basis and be able to, you know, really look at what it is. So it's not happenstance. It's really like we're reviewing our lives, we're reviewing things that we have done in our lives on a regular basis, and that's also part of how it makes it work. And I think lastly, I would say, is just as a comment, we are striving, keyword, to have a marriage-centered family, not a children-centered marriage. You know, we married each other, and after the kids are gone, you know, I mean, after teenage years, they don't talk to you anymore anyway, right? Yeah. So by the time they're gone, we want to make sure that we have centered our family life around our marriage. Not neglecting our kids, but not by far, but making sure that our marriage is the cornerstone, because so many couples get to the end of the road, it's like, who are you? You know, we've been passing ships in the night and soccer practice and that kind of thing for so long. So we definitely make sure we keep, you know, we're the married couple in the household, and we don't allow, you know, the children the responsibility or whatever their needs or demands at that particular day are to distract away from the fact that we're in love and we, you know, and my wife is beautiful. I mean, I still think she's gorgeous, and so at the end of the day, you know, what man does want to come home to a gorgeous woman like that, right?
I think one of the things that we decided early on was that one of the greatest things that we can leave our kids is the example of a great marriage. And so, you know, my parents are divorced, and, you know, I still believe that you can still make it. Leonard's parents were married for 46 years. 47 years. His mom passed away almost a year ago. So he has that great example, and so we feel like that's one thing that we can, you know, show our kids is a great marriage, that two people can work things out, two people can be in love, two people can have, you know, fun, can be crazy and make fun of each other, and, you know, and do all the things that we do and still make it work, you know. So
when little things come up, because we've talked a lot about big issues and big goals and big cornerstones for communication and stuff, and so when little things come up, you know, snacking food.
Yes.
How do you deal with that?
Usually I yell. You know, it's been so long that sometimes I don't even hear it. But I only really notice it when we're around other people. And so he gets elbowed, he gets kicked under the table, or I stare at him, you know. But other than that, I mean, you know, that's like, I think, the biggest thing that gets kind of annoying. Do I annoy you?
Of course not, dear. I also think, this is what's really interesting about this. I have a much more outgoing personality. Mm-hmm. My wife is much more, you know, reserved. You know, she reads like actual books, like even when the TV is near. And my best books are read on audio in the car, you know what I'm saying, or my iPad, or iPhone, or whatever. But so I'm more of the outgoing kind of person. But it's interesting in our relationship because, yeah, she's the yeller or the drama queen, and we make fun, you know, about that sometimes, me and the kids. But and then I think
I just think I'm very excited. I don't think I'm a drama queen. I just think that, you know, I just have to be passionate about things.
Sure. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion, and what I would say is real though is that, and she says it, you know, but I guess she's right. I think the biggest thing I did when especially early on, see, I'm used to it now. Look, if I smack, I'm smacking. If there's other people around, okay. If I'm, you know, having dinner with President Obama, okay, I probably wouldn't smack. But I mean, other than that, I mean, if I'm at the cookout or somewhere, I'm not going to change, you know, who I am. I mean, I'm already have to be on so much in my career. If I'm relaxed, I'm having a relaxed thing, I don't want to be on, right? But I ignored her. I mean, I hate to say it. You talked about communication style. You know, my communication style was to just ignore her when she, especially early on.
I mean, that probably sounds really bad, but he, you know, he didn't feed into
That's right.
to going there, you know, where maybe the garbage hadn't been taken out and I just went on garbage strike, and then I would sort of let him have it, and so he didn't feed into it, you know, and he would always say, "I love you, honey, you're the best wife." He'd kiss me, and then he'd be on his way, you know, and he wouldn't feed into it, and that worked for me because it sort of diffused. I could see where it might not work for other people, but it sort of diffused the situation where he wouldn't feed into, you know, my excited emotions at the time, to not go there or let things escalate to another level. And so I could then see that it probably wasn't that big of a deal.
And then, you know, in terms of respecting your mate, right? And then whatever she really was, you know, I'm a person also that words of affirmation is a big thing for me. So if you're yelling at me, you know, then I'm not happy with you at that point because you're not affirming me, right? And I feel cared about when I'm being affirmed. So after I ignored her, and I would go through the process, I would come back around and begin to correct the behavior though, out of respect for her, because at the same time I would ask things of her. And so I don't know if that's a nugget or not, but we both had high expectations, and I knew that if I wanted to get the things that I expected, and she, you know, I had to give her what she expected. So again, going back to the partnership aspect, I mean, one thing for a while was, you know, putting my dishes in the dishwasher, because I get home I see people at night, so I'm walking in the door after everyone else's. So I just dump my stuff in the sink, you know, and she has already cleaned the kitchen. She's done a great job. So that used to, you know, really piss her off, especially considering that, you know, she was working all day like me. She maybe had soccer with my daughter. She had homework and then dinner, and then who am I to come in, you know, and go behind that? So I never responded to her yelling at me about it. There was no need in that. But then I would correct the behavior and make sure that I supported what it is that she wanted, which was just for me to pull my weight, you know, not to feel entitled. And I think that you know, I feel we're equal in our value to our marriage. I feel my wife, you know, I'm the outwardly more outspoken one, and maybe I get more credit as the male of the household, all that kind of stuff. But we are equal in our contribution to the success of the entire marriage and the entire family. You know, we're not just looking to have a successful family, have great kids, and then we can't stand each other. We're not looking to just only have a great marriage and romance, and then our kids, you know, go to heck in a handbasket. We're looking to have, we want it all. I think that's one of the tenets of our marriage when we first started, is we want it all. You know, and so I would correct the behavior once she adjusted, and even though
in his time frame though, not when I wanted it,
yeah.
Which is, I think, appropriate, right? I think that's one of the challenges, is working out, you know, like, you're not my boss, don't tell me what to do, kind of thing. Right. But so he would, you know, correct it on his time frame. Yeah. I think I do the same thing.
Well, I understand. You know, when we have an argument, when my wife and I have an argument, if things get personal, I will just shut down, and I don't even hear the criticism anymore. So, I mean, is it hard? And this goes for both of you. You know, when you guys have a disagreement, to keep things on the level of strict criticism, and if somebody says something that has some validity, how do you guys actually manage to hear it after a while?
That's interesting. You know, I tend to probably overreact a little bit more than he does. He's sort of more even-keeled, and I sort of, you know, I'm just excited. I'm just an excited person. And so, you know, for him, I think that he he does a great job of, you know, not. Lost my train of thought. Let's go.
Well,
Sorry.
I would probably say that I don't know, at the core, you know, and I'm trying to also think back to how we develop these habits, because that's probably, 13 and a half or so years in, this is the way we've done it. I'm not saying like we're out of the woods. I mean, we work on our marriage every day, but I mean, we've learned to operate, and I think that the biggest thing is, and particularly in the beginning, when these situations come up, yeah, you can't make it personal. You have to be mature. You can't get ignorant, because of the fact that you have a disagreement. So you're going to make it personal. You're going to, unfairly chastise the other person. Hopefully, you love this person, and I know that also means that you're most vulnerable to that person in your heart. But I don't think we have ever gotten to the point where we made it about something other than what the argument was about. In other words, tearing another person down or anything like that. And I think that may be because I don't think we saw that in my parents, they had their disagreements, but they didn't tear each other down. I mean, so I don't know.
But I think also, we often joke that we've had some of our greatest disagreements on great vacations, and it always seems like when there's people around or when we're going somewhere, we tend to not click as much, or we have to run off to work and there's something that is there, and so I tend to try to get my words in, and he may not react in the time frame that I want him to react in, but he always comes back. So we've always sort of decided not to leave things unresolved, because we don't want something lingering, and so we deal with things that bother us, our insecurities, where maybe we're not doing as well, in our careers, whatever's bothering us, we tend to talk to. I mean, I think of Leonard as my best friend, and so I process everything with him, good or bad. Sometimes I don't like the stuff he tells me. Sometimes it's the truth, and so he has a nice way of putting a spin on things. He tends to always see the glass as half full, and I tend to be the opposite, and so we sort of balance each other out in that way. He sugarcoats some words so that the sting is not as bad, but we just don't let things just go without dealing with them, and it might not be right there in the moment, but they get dealt with. Yeah.
I concur.
Well, that's fabulous. I think I've got everything I need. So
Okay.
thank you. You guys were totally what I was wanting to hear.
Okay.
Very entertaining.
What is your segment? So what exactly are you
Well,
doing?
our sound test is over. We can begin the interview.